When it rains, it pours. But you know what? We got three strong ladies in studio this morning or this afternoon, and we're committed to delivering an awesome show today. So we will get the job done. But once again, thank you so much for being patient with us through our technical difficulties. And thank you for tuning in today and wanting to take part in the discussion that we're having. We're having a blast in studio. I hope you're having a blast wherever you are. If you're listening to us on your plug and play in your car, hello to you. For those of you who are watching us on our Facebook platform, hi. And for those who are watching on YouTube, 2 thumbs up, like and share, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so that you can be notified whenever we go live. But let's pick it up where we left off. My name is Jacqueline Dixon. I'm your host today on the Ordinary People Show, and I have in studio 2 fabulous panel members, and we are going to break down all of the ins and the outs. We're going to have a discussion about the 2019 federal election, the impact that it had on our personal lives, what impact we believe it had on the general public, and how it boiled down. The votes broke down, and the seat allocation and all of the rest. We want to break it down, and we want you to be a part of the discussion as well. So if you have any commentary whatsoever, please don't hesitate. Send us a message, whether it's on our Twitter, maybe it's on our Facebook, or maybe it's through our YouTube channel. Let join the discussion with us so that we can loop you in on the conversation as well. So, picking up where we left off, again, I'm going to reintroduce my panel member or my panel guest to my left, which is Unique Williams. And Unique Williams has been a director in the past for the Policy of Status of Women, which I definitely want to investigate that one. I'm loving that title. And she's also recently just come off the campaign trail as a campaign manager for a winning member of parliament that she's going to share with you in just a little bit. And of course we have I know she's looking, Letna Allen Rowe. I want to change this lady's name, but I won't. Letna Allen Rowe is here, and she's a concerned citizen. She's a voter. And she's a conscious voter, one that has paid attention to all of the information that has been shared throughout the election process, and came up with her decision after analyzing all of the pros and the cons in order to come up with what she believes to be the best decision that would suit her lifestyle. And she's going to talk about how she came to that process and what that means to her. So, ladies, welcome back once again to the show. So,
yes.
Yeah, let's pick it up where we left off now. So we talked about the fact that the impact, of course, of what you believe your overall take of the elections of this year and what it meant to what you noticed that people wanted to be heard. If I remember that correct.
That's correct.
Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
You felt that was the case? And your overall, what was your overall take? What did you feel that people wanted?
I feel, like I said with Yannick, people want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know that the person that they're going to select or the person
Right.
they've selected is a person who will represent them 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Not somebody who comes in when there is election.
Okay.
But somebody who they see, they can call, who returns their call. If they didn't get a chance
Right.
to return the call personally, they'll have their office returning a call and said, your call has been accepted. What is it that we can do for you? And as a matter of fact, I said for myself, it's not what the politician can do for me or not what the leader can do for me, but what I can do for my country to make a difference. And what I can do for my country, that will make a difference to how the political electorate do their jobs.
Fantastic. Good. Those are 2 great takeaways, and I have my own takeaway as well. My takeaway this federal election was that people really truly wanted to be plugged in this
Yes.
time. They were interested.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying attention. It wasn't just another, it's election time, I don't care, I don't want to hear about it. People wanted to know, and they were thirsty for knowledge, and they definitely were engaged, and that's what made this particular go around that much more exciting for me personally. But let's talk about the engagement. Let's talk about the various different players that were involved. Now we know that this time around we had a lot more players on the national stage, which kind of concerned me because I have my take on who I believe should be on the national stage and who shouldn't. So we had a lot more players on the national stage. Of course, we had the PC representative, which is, Mr. Scheer. And we had the incumbent, a Liberal leader, which is Justin Trudeau. We had the NDP representative, which is Jagmeet Singh. And of course, we had our Green Party, Elizabeth May. But then we had some more players join in on the national stage, which was Maxime Bernier. And our bloc, I can never, quite get his name. I don't even know. Maybe somebody can, for whatever. He won 32 seats, but my goodness, his name just slips me completely. Maybe it's because he's just interested in the whole Quebec only, Quebec first mantra, so I don't pay attention. But nonetheless, the whole point of the matter is they were all on the national stage. And I'm a little bit concerned about that because in the United States, they have a process, right, that says that unless a person is garnering a certain percentage of interest in votes or people that are prepared to vote for them, they can't even make it to the national stage.
No.
They can't get that type of attention and limelight that we gave to people like Maxime Bernier, right, who doesn't even have his party is desecrated, like not even one seat. And Blanchette, thank you so much, Unique. And Blanchette, even Elizabeth May is a little skeptical as well. I mean, yeah.
And then you had the independents.
And then we had a whole bunch of independents, but none of them made it to the national stage.
Not during the debate.
Not during the debates. No. Right. Not during.
Well, we have one candidate who won her riding for the independent.
That's correct. But bit of a controversy there. We'll certainly get to that. But what do you think about this whole idea of putting people like Maxime Bernier on the national stage? What do you think garners him the right to be on the national stage?
Well, initially he wasn't. He didn't have the opportunity, but he made his case, and the debate commissioner listened. And as a result, in the two official debates that were organized, the French debate as well as the English debate, he was able to participate. He had to show that there was a threshold by which he was likely, or there was a potential that he could have won his seat. So because of that, his petition was accepted, and yeah, so he participated.
Okay, fair enough. So, and if my stats are correct, and anybody please fact check me if I'm wrong. So he's the leader of his party, which is the PPC, correct? And he had one seat, and the one seat that he had was his. And that was enough to get him on the national stage. Okay, all right.
It's that, but also the potential of winning
more seats.
So there was a potential, looking at the polls that were conducted in his specific riding, that there was a potential that he could have
won
elected,
more seats, and that's what gave him the right to be on. Okay, fine. I don't know who did those polls. I mean, I'm not going to contest it.
It's just like Elizabeth May. She was the only one there when she made it to the national stage, and I think it's the same principle they use. The potential for her to win more seat, to win back her riding, and to win more seat. And in fact, she won 2 other seats, so she has 3 seats now in Ottawa.
And you know what? And fair enough. So she went from 1 to 3. But what I'm going to say, and I'm going to go off the rails and say, I think the only reason that she went from 1 to 3 is because of the exposure that she got on the national level.
Yeah.
And I just don't think 8% interest is enough to be on the national stage. When a party only has 8% interest nationally, I don't think that garners you the right to be on the national stage and detract from others that have a real viable possibility of
a real message,
right?
No,
you know, sing this. Yeah, it's a singular message, and I get the whole climate thing, and we thank God for Elizabeth May. And let me tell you something: I have a lot of respect for her because I find her overly intelligent. What a very well-spoken woman. She debated like a boss, but she's got a singular message.
She'll argue that their platform actually covers a wider amount of issues and topics, and that it was a full and costed platform. So that's something I think members from the Green Party
would argue
would
that.
argue.
Okay, fair enough. So, all right, so we talked about our takeaways. Now let's talk about how the chips fell. So here we are now, after the fact. We've got a Liberal minority government in place. We went from 177 seats, majority for the Liberals, to 157. And we just we checked these numbers before we went on air. Our Conservatives are sitting at 121, and the Bloc is at 32. NDP is at 24. The Green is at 3, and Independents at 1. So Liberals fell 20 seats. Let's just talk about that for a quick second. 20 seats. Is that a catastrophe? What do you think?
I mean, as the Prime Minister stated, I think Canadians definitely are sending a message. They're speaking to sort of how I opened up, in the sense that they wanted their voices to be heard. And that is a way. That is a way to demonstrate that they do still have confidence in him as Prime Minister, why he was able to get a second mandate. But they also want to ensure that there's a diversity of opinions and a diversity of voices that are also going to be there in Ottawa. So it will be incumbent on him, as well as all of the elected officials, to collaborate and work amongst each other to ensure that they can actually do things that will be to the betterment of Canadians, and to continue to have policies that are in place that will bring us forward, and to continue to build on progress made.
Okay, fair enough. So you think there was a message sent in that number of seats that he was able to retain? Letna, what's your take on that? 20 seats. We're down.
The Liberals are down 20 seats. And I think it maybe had to do with campaign strategy.
Okay.
By the other parties. And like Yannick said, people are speaking out. People want to be heard. And sometimes when you do things like that and you've lost a seat, you could say, wow, why did we lose so much seat?
Right.
So it gives them a chance to go back to the drawing board and to analyze and to assess and to ask themselves, what did we do wrong in those provinces why we lose the seats, so many seats that we should have? Were we too complacent, or we did not go hard enough on those people? Was our message being heard, or did the other parties had a stronger message than us? These are some of the things they have to go through analytically and assess. And in the meantime, while they're there and while the Liberals got a minority lead, a minority government, they have to work to ensure that those people who rejected them, they go out and stretch an olive branch to them, to make sure that when the next election calls in 4 years, they will realize that, no, we made a mistake, we have to come back. We need to come back. So the Liberals have to use this as a measuring tape to see where they go from here.
Wow. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, here's my take on this. So 20 seats, right? I'm sitting by like 177, 157. I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. I mean, based on the type of fear-mongering that was taking place just days before the election that was coming up. I mean, the PC party laid it on, and they went full throttle. Okay? There wasn't a dime to be spared in negative ads against Justin Trudeau. There wasn't anybody that was sparing him any anguish whatsoever. And then even just days before the election, we had the PC leader claiming a majority victory to be expected on election day. I mean, you would think that he was done. And then coupled with all the controversy and the scandals, and then with, of course, there's the independent Jody Rayborn. You would think that he would be done. And to walk away with only a 20-seat loss and realistically unaffected, with Ontario pretty well being unaffected. The biggest loss coming in Quebec, which we knew that was going to come because of the candidate over there. I really don't think it was the PCs ran as an effective campaign as they thought that they did, because I can't see where they punctured this party. I don't see where they punctured a hole, which is a wound which is deep enough to be able to build.
And then on the other hand, after the election, the results were called, Jagmeet Singh wants to work in tandem with the Liberals. The PC party is waiting for a downfall
Right.
to jump in
Right.
and to do it. They are saying that the Liberals has divided Canada and given the blame game, but all four parties or 5 or 6 parties come together, try to divide the people among themselves.
Right.
So during the election campaign, it was all divided. So as I said, people had to analyze and ask themselves the question, who are we going to choose to take us for another 4 years of successive government? Who are we going to choose to lead us? The Liberals had started the work
Right.
4 years ago, and being an open-minded person who voted, I'm not taking sides, but I said to somebody who I had some conversation with during the campaign, the person said, "What is your choice?" And I said, "Let us look at this analytically. You go to the store, you buy yourself a piece of steak. Are you going to eat the piece of steak raw? No. You're going to take it home, you're going to prepare it, you're going to marinate it, you're going to let it soak, then you're going to cook, and you're going to enjoy." And I said, for what it worth, the Liberals were there for 4 years. They just marinated their steak, and they're going to put it on to cook. So let it cook,
Okay.
and then give them another 4 years to serve it. If when you get it for the other 4 years to serve, and you say, that's raw, or it's too hard, or it's too soft, then you can say, no, you're not a good cook.
Okay,
We need to
fair
get
enough.
you out of the kitchen
Fair
and to
enough.
put the other cook in. You know what I mean? But give them some time to
Right.
stew.
You know,
You know?
I'll tell you one thing before we just switch over to this another topic, and which is messaging, right?
Yeah.
Because I really want to hear your opinion, and this is about being honest. Okay, I mean being completely honest, and give credit to where credit is due, and give constructive criticism where constructive criticism is needed. So, the one thing I will tell you about Liberals and Justin Trudeau, a true diehard Liberal, they take any negative messaging against the Prime Minister very personally. Liberals, I don't see PC advocates taking a personal approach to Scheer, to the way that Liberals make whatever attacks against Justin Trudeau personal. They take it very, very personal, which is something that we can talk about. Like, why do Liberals take attacks against Justin Trudeau so personal, and the progressive Conservatives don't take attacks against Scheer that personal at all? They're very disconnected from their leader. But that's another conversation. We're going to get to that. Let's talk about messaging. Who do you think had the best messaging, Unique, in this 2019 campaign?
I will say that the Liberal Party did have the best messaging.
You felt that?
I think it was one about positivity. It was one about moving forward and choosing forward to continue to build on progress made. The Conservatives were in it for you, or something really bad that I'm forgetting to.
Yeah, wasn't very catchy, was
Yeah,
it?
so exactly, not very catchy at all. And it was also very sort of singular, where I still felt that even though they were pointing at you, it still didn't really, I think, speak to the collective, kind of allowed us to kind of see ourselves moving together and rowing in the same direction, but that it was very sort of individual. So yeah, I would say that the Liberal Party
Okay.
had a stronger.
I'm gonna give you some my opinion on what you just said a little while ago. Very, very interesting what you just said. She felt that the Liberal Party, not that she voted Liberal or we were just talking about who had the best messaging, who we believe had the best messaging. So she's saying the Liberals. And that speaks a lot that she can't remember the messaging coming out of the PC camp, right? The fact that you can't remember that, even that one singular message coming out of the PC camp, you can somewhat remember what the NDP were saying, but you can't remember what, that says a lot to how effective their messaging was. I'm going to give you my take on who I believe had the best messaging as well, and I believe it was the Liberals. Not that I voted Liberal, not that the PCs didn't have some strong arguments, they certainly did, but the messaging was on point for the Liberals, because the one thing that resonated with me over and over and over again was that he kept on saying, I choose to invest in people. Right?
Yeah.
I choose to invest in people. And every time he said that, it got me. Because I thought, yeah.
What I didn't like,
I like that.
Yeah, what I didn't like was the personal attack. Every time you watch a debate, they're attacking. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said they heard something on the television where Justin was talking, and Justin looked in the camera and he said, this election is not about me. It is about you, the people who, as you said, we choose to invest in. You are the people we invest in. You are the future of Canada. You are Canada. We have to take care of you so that you can take care of your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren who are coming. We have to build a future for them. It's not about me. It's about you.
Fantastic.
You know? And that is a very, very strong message.
Right.
Policies, up to now, I've not heard the policies or the mandates set by the other parties. I've not heard it. You hear some policies from the Liberals. The NDP, they had a few policies, but then you have to look and say, what experience? You have to talk about experience as well. So you can't put an inexperienced person into such a top job to lead you when they don't have the experience to lead locally. You have to be able to lead locally before you can lead on a global stage. So experience was one of the things that I looked at too. And the things they have for future generation to come. It's not just for the 4 years, but for future generation. You have to look at those policies and those mandates that set out there for future generation.
Good stuff. My suggestion to the PC party going forward is that spend less time on negative attacks against Justin and more time talking about what your plans are to make my life better. What plans do you have of giving my generations to come a hopeful future? And less time talking about, the attacks. It was just that overwhelmed me, the amount of time and energy that they spent.
Because the attack was not on the Liberal Party of Canada.
It was very personal.
It was on Justin.
Yes, it was very personal.
Justin, it was very personal. And he talks about the Conservative Party, what the Conservative Party did, what he had to undo 4 years ago, the downward spiral that the Conservative Party was going down. He had to undo all of that, clean it up, and start from ground zero to come up. And I mean, you have to look at that. And like I said, you have to analyze, you have to be analytical about the choices you make when you are choosing a leader, a representative, a candidate to lead you and to take your life ahead so that you can live in a better world.
True.
Let's
talk about Jagmeet's message. So he ended up being a rock star at the end of it.
Yes.
Getting all of this rock star attention. But it didn't really translate at the polls at all, did it? All that rock star status that he had coming to the end of the campaign, it didn't translate into votes.
No.
Like, these people didn't turn up. So what was all of that for? I'm not quite sure. But his message, here's my thing about Jagmeet's message. Closer to the end of it, he did start to humanize himself There was a couple things that he did that no longer made him this Hindu candidate and just made, or Sikh candidate, just made him a candidate. And that's when I started to listen to him more closely. But the one thing I would say about the NDP's message is this: stop pandering. Like, stop pandering. What is it about the NDP platform that they feel that the only way that they can get votes or people's attention is to talk about free, 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 free? Realistically, I don't really think anybody wants anything for free.
No.
I think we just want to be able to earn a decent living. We want to be able to earn the right to have a decent home and have a good education for our children, and earn the right to have the opportunity to make a reasonable living. I personally don't wake up looking for what can I get for free today. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
I think definitely Jagmeet, in terms of, I'm a big supporter of representation, and that representation matters, and having him being the first racialized leader of a federal party, I think speaks volumes, and it's huge, and it should be celebrated, and it should be recognized. And I think that did build into his ability as well to be able to humanize some of the interesting and ugliness that did come out of the campaign. To your point, though, about their platform and wanting to sort of have free this, free that, I definitely take that, and I think it is one where Canadians are looking at, okay, I do want to have stronger health care, I do want to have childcare being tackled, I do want to have all of these other things, but we also need to know how do we balance that fiscally. So I definitely take your point in the sense that they do need to come with a balance in terms of their approach to ensure that whatever they put forward is costed, and that it's also done in a way that's realistic. But I also do want to ensure that again, going back to representation matters, that him being who he is, and representing the diversity that also makes up Canada, I think is a huge thing, and that it should be celebrated.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree with you more on that. What's your take on the Jagmeet Singh experience?
My take on Jagmeet Singh is kudos to him.
Yeah.
Kudos to Jagmeet for
he's a soldier.
going the extra mile to show people, to show Canada that, listen, not because I'm from a different culture, a different background, I was born here, I want to celebrate, and I want to show people that if I can do it, you can do it too.
Right.
And that is the message I get from it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it doesn't mean that you stay back at the back of the class. And because you look different from everybody else, you're going to stay at the back of the class and do not move forward. Right? Canada is a country that develops everybody. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Indian, whether you're Sikh, whether you're Jamaican, whether you're from Ghana, wherever you're from, the multiculturalism in Canada is so good. I love it, and Canada has encouraged you to move up and forget all of these things and to step ahead and to move ahead. And I'm proud of Jagmeet for what he's done. Jagmeet have put awareness into other people. If he doesn't run again, in another 10 years, you're going to find another Jagmeet Singh. And there are a lot of little Jagmeet Singh out there who tell themselves that if that big Jagmeet Singh can do it, I can do it. Because you have to remember that you go out there as an adult to do something. There's a little kid at the back who's going to say, if they can do it, I can do it. I remember when we had the first black governor general.
Lincoln.
Yannick was in grade school, right? And I've heard lots of little black kids say, if she can be governor general, I can do it too. So they aspire to be them. And I'm happy that Jagmeet Singh has opened up himself and his community to tell the people in his community that you can do it. And we
Fantastic.
have to embrace him, and Canada embrace him.
Yeah.
Although he didn't win, although he lost some seat, but the people who voted for him embrace him.
Right.
And I want to just give him kudos.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No,
Jack Mead,
no,
you deserve
no
it.
disputing that whatsoever. And you know what? He's a true soldier in my books because, you know, to pioneer anything as a person of color is, man, it's got to be one of the hardest decisions
Yes.
that you will ever make. And to know that you're going to have all these darts flying your way, regardless of the fact that you are a person of color, just the fact that you are deciding to put your hat into a ring and expose yourself, you know, personally and professionally to all the criticism that is going to come your way because of whatever platforms you stand for. And then top it off, you're a person of color as well, and you look visibly different from all the other candidates. So for that reason, I think he has great temperament. I really like his temperament. He handled himself really, really well.
And he's handsome too. And top it off, he has one of the prettiest wives I've ever seen. Beautiful girl.
Yes, they're a great couple. They're a great couple.
Very great couple.
Policy wise, that's a whole other story altogether.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
kudos to you, Jagmeet Singh, and the NDP party for voting you in as their leader. That says a lot about them as to who they are.
True.
So let's talk about, you know what, we're going to talk about policy now, because, you know, this is the underlining real issues. These are the issues that really drive us to make the decisions that we make. Policies. What policies they're proposing. There are so many suggestions and so many proposals that were brought to the table this election. There's healthcare. You know, there's, of course, you know, the mortgage situation. Housing was really, really big. Climate change was really, really big. There are so many big
Guns
issues.
and gangs.
Guns and gangs. And then, of course, blackface. So we're going to talk about all of that. But before we do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and come right back to the Ordinary People Show. Thank you so much for being patient with us today, for tuning in to listening to our 2019 recap of the federal elections with my two panelists here. I've got Unique and
Miss Letna.
Miss Letna in studio. We're going to be right back after this quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Everyone, my name is Nadej Wedrago Alonso. I'm the founder of AOF Immigration Canada. AOF Immigration Canada is an immigration consulting office. We are located in Mississauga and we are specialized in all types of immigration matters. So if you are a student, worker, refugee, or if you desire to sponsor your spouse, please contact us. We will be able to help you. See you soon and thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. This is a special episode today. We can call it a special episode because
Yes.
we're out of our time block. And once again, we can't thank you enough for being patient with us today. With the technical difficulties that we've had, the late start on top of that, but you're here with us, you're listening, you're viewing, you're taking part, and it's a blessing to have you here. Listen, have you decompressed yet? Have you taken that big... The elections are over. It's over, guys. We can return to business as usual now. You know, what a whirlwind experience that was, I tell you. It's exciting, though. It's exciting to be a part of the process. 2019 federal elections are done. Our Prime Minister has returned to lead the country as a minority leader now, no longer a majority leader. The NDP are represented in federal. Now, and Jagmeet held his seat too. Remember,
Yes.
because he didn't have a seat in the. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but he won the by-election, so he was in the House.
And
for
then he
a
was
time.
able to retain it.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
because a lot of people were saying that he wasn't going to be able to retain that seat. Because
I'm so happy he retained
Yeah,
it.
because it wouldn't have been a pretty picture for him to be on the outside of the door while they were making all the big decisions in there, and then Scheer. But let's talk about policy for a minute or two. So there was a lot of policy proposals that these guys, man, I tell you, I was even talking to my producer like a week before the election. I said, if this election goes one more week, they're going to give everybody in Canada 40 acres and a mule, because the amount of promises that these guys were making on the hour, it was like, who's going to be able to fulfill those promises? But let's talk about healthcare. That's a big one.
It is massive.
It's huge. We have an aging population, and we don't have enough hospitals. The seniors' homes are, some of them, my understanding is they're so out of reach for the average senior to be able to live in these places, because the monthly fees for these places
The monthly fees are like mortgage.
yeah, they're in excess in many, many cases. And we have, with those health scares or health issues that we have, people not being able to afford prescription drugs, because OHIP it's cut back on so many different.
And seniors are living longer.
Seniors are living
Much
longer.
longer,
What
to
was
100.
Absolutely. What was your biggest concern where healthcare healthcare matters are?
I think not just in the realm of healthcare, but just overall affordability. Whether we're talking about healthcare, whether we're talking about owning a home, paying for your tuition, affordability was sort of a major theme.
The biggest one for you.
Exactly, and that's why I was very excited to see that the NDP had a pharmacare plan, but also
what was that
but
plan?
also-
What were they saying? They were saying free. Everybody's going to just get everything for free. Can
Well,
you
they were-
realistically give everybody in Canada free pharmacare? Think about what you're saying.
Yeah. Definitely can't make arguments on their behalf there.
Just not.
But
You like that, though.
But that was one that came up. But I also wanted to speak to the fact that the Liberal Party as well had a pharmacare proposal where they will be looking into what it would take to create a national pharmacare strategy. And I think when it comes to affordability, whether we're talking to seniors, whether we're talking to young parents, being able to buy the medication that you need is going to be such a key thing. So I was very excited to see that came up, not just in one party, but in others as well.
Okay, so that was overall affordability was her
Yes.
biggest concern. What was yours biggest?
My biggest
issue?
concern is affordability as well, but I want to look at the mental health situation.
Big one.
That's a big one. A lot of people are going through this whole mental health thing, and it triggers from so many different things. Cancer. As a breast cancer survivor, there are a lot of people who have cancer, and it has triggered into a mental health thing because they are just worried
Right.
about
Stress.
the medication, because cancer medication is not cheap. And as we talk about seniors are living longer, although one of the things that the Liberal Party spoke about was to increase the seniors' benefit when they get to age 75.
Right.
And the pharmacare thing as well, and to look at how this will benefit seniors or benefit people approaching the seniorship in their life. And we're just hoping that all of these things will come through, and that the opposition will not put a stumbling block into these policies when these things go to a bill and to sign and to make them come to fruition, because they go out there on the campaign trail and they make all these promises, and when these promises are to come to fruition, the opposition blocks them.
Right.
So
Well-
we have to make sure that everybody work in tandem with each other, because again, it's not about them, it's about the people. And the people are the ones who are suffering. And we have to make sure that the things that have been discussed and said come to fruition, so the people of Canada will benefit.
Fair enough. You know what? I probably have to go with you on my biggest issue of the election cycle, which was affordability as well. I'm really concerned about affordability for so many reasons. that the cost of housing is driving up, is moving up so fast, and wages are not moving in parallel to that. As and we've got a housing crisis on our hands. We've got a stress test that has been put on new homeowners that is making it almost virtually impossible for anybody with less than 20-25% to come into the marketplace. These things are really concerning to me because we've got a whole generation of young people out there that are scratching their heads and wondering, what hope is there for me? What hope is there for me? I just finished college. I just finished university. Maybe I didn't even do that. I'm in a minimum wage job, or maybe a job that's paying a little bit better than minimum wage. The cost of living, I can't even pay for the roof over my head with the earnings that I make, never mind save up for a house. My God. Like, you got to feel it for them.
Yeah, and you find with that a lot of older people are downsizing. They're moving into nursing homes and senior care. The condos are being built. The condos are astronomical. And as you say, these millennials, they're just graduating from university, just start their first or their second job. The price of a condo, a one-bedroom condo, start at the low 500. So where on earth are
Well,
they?
homes are $1 million. So, I mean, they're looking at like, that's your only hope. That's your only hope.
Yeah, and that's why they are going into these little boxes called condos.
Condos, they're little
and
boxes.
Those little
exactly.
boxes, and there's no room
Yeah.
for growth in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't add to it. They
Yeah.
can't do anything to it. And affordability as well. How can they afford these places?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and on that though, for the Liberal Party specifically, they have put in the first home buyer incentive. So that is hopefully going to be a tool in which first time home buyers often will be younger Canadians who will be having an opportunity to own their own home by taking advantage of that.
Can you explain that to us a little bit? As a millennial, maybe you have a better understanding of what they're offering. What are the Liberals suggesting that they're going to do to help first-time home buyers? What are they suggesting?
So one of the things that they're going to be doing is providing, and I apologize, I don't have the full
Right.
appropriate breakdown of this, but essentially giving sort of a financial support to
Right.
first-time home buyers so that they would be able to, as they're purchasing their home, they'd be able to help them purchase it. So
Yeah.
they would own, I believe, about 15%. It is something that they would, if the home buyer is able to pay it off
Right.
during the life of their mortgage, they can do that as well.
Right. To help them with the down payment.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
additionally as well, they would be able to, when they sell the house, if they weren't able to pay it off, then that portion, the amount that the government did put in, they would get it back as well. So it's
Okay.
a way to lower the down payment that
Yeah.
you have to put in, and also allow you to get your foot through the door.
through the door.
Additionally,
Okay.
what they're doing is to tackle speculation in terms of the cost of housing, and also to cut back on foreign entities, folks who live abroad but who are
Right.
purchasing property here in Canada.
Yeah.
So they're looking at cracking down at that as well.
But okay, so here's the thing that I scratch my head about. I understand the offer to help the first-time home buyers with the down payment. That makes sense to me. Okay, so when you go and crack down on foreign investors, what is that going to do for the average Joe?
Well,
what is that going to do for them?
It helps them in the sense as, number one, there isn't property that is owned that nobody is able to move into, because if folks aren't buying property who live abroad, it means that there's more of a yield, so that folks can actually so that apartments or condos, etc., actually exist, so that you can actually put your hand up as a Canadian
Okay,
citizen
fair
to say,
enough.
yes, I'd like to purchase this. Additionally, when folks buy up all of the the property or lucrative land in Toronto, in Vancouver, it also raises the cost of the houses
Right.
themselves, right? Because if you have less availability,
Right.
then you can then have a higher cost or
So
price for your house.
it inflates the cost of housing.
It could, yeah.
And that's the negative impact
Exactly.
that it has.
It
I would
inflates the
agree.
cost, and also having foreign buyers also reduces the yield, reduces the amount of dwellings that are available for folks to rent or buy.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough. My concern about the affordability part, I think Andrew Scheer answered that the best for me, okay? Because he said, listen, I'm going to get rid of the stress test, and I'm going to lengthen the amortization period. Those have real and immediate effects on people being able to buy homes or refinance their homes. Immediate effect, right then and there. I think personally, if I were Justin, I would have adapted that, and I hope he will reconsider doing that as well.
Ironically, it was under a conservative government that the stress test was put in.
That is
through
so
Jim
true.
Flaherty,
That is true. That is so
a
true.
former finance minister
Yes,
as well.
'cause
So
he-
it's one of those things where he said, actually, no, we
Right.
do need this, and that's
That's
why
right.
we have it in place. So it is one thing to remove all of these things,
Yeah.
but again, you want to ensure that
Yeah.
you're setting Canadians up for success, that you're
Yeah.
putting in parameters that will allow them the opportunity to own property, but also be able to do it in a way that's fiscally responsible. So that's the one thing, the caveat that I would put in with that.
So true, so true. Jim Flaherty, he would, when that stress case test came into play, he was giving everybody the impression, this is just a bubble. Everything, all the roof, the rug's going to get pulled out from under us. And when the rug gets pulled out from under us, we're going to be really, really grateful that this stress test was in place. And the rug has never been pulled out from under us. Housing prices continue to climb. It's going to continue to climb. And I just think it's a fallacy. I think we need to go back to the 30-year plus amortization, get rid of the stress test, give everybody the opportunity to get in. For those who make it, they make it, and for those who don't, they don't. But give everybody the opportunity.
The opportunity to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, listen, we're going to get it ready to wrap up the show, but we can't, we could be here talking forever in a day.
Yes.
We can't not talk about blackface, right? Man, what a story. Our Prime Minister, I said to somebody the other day, I said, listen, this guy has got a horseshoe in the right place, because not only did he survive the SNC, Labalac fiasco, he survived his two cabinet ministers, female cabinet ministers, turning on him and then crossing the aisle to sit as independents. And then he survived blackface. This guy is the Teflon kid. And to only lose 20 seats after all of that scandal, you tell me what other prime minister that you can remember in modern day that has faced those type of obstacles in an election season and come
back and win.
and won.
I can't see
I call him
any.
the Teflon
I
kid.
can't
It's
see any,
unbelievable.
I can't see
Did
any.
blackface have any real effect on your decisions to vote? Did it turn your mind in any way, shape, or form against Justin Trudeau?
I think blackface definitely is something that is horrible and nobody should ever do it. And the Prime Minister himself, in the two formal apologies that he gave, acknowledged that and said it was wrong then to do it, and it is absolutely wrong now to do it, and for that he absolutely apologizes. I think, it allowed Canada to speak about racism in a very public and open way, and I think it is definitely something that we as Canadians, as much as we, even in the show, we spoke about multiculturalism and how proud we are, and I think that Canada is the best country and it is multicultural, but then there are racism still exists, anti-black racism still exists, and it needs to be tackled. So I think having it come up during the campaign was one of those things that allowed me as a voter, and also me as somebody who worked in the
campaign.
election to be motivated and driven to ensure that we're holding spaces for, again, folks that aren't often represented, but also we're creating safe spaces so that racialized folks can know that their voices are heard, that they are important, and that, they should be able to elect officials who see them and who hear them. One of the things I will say, though, in terms of the Prime Minister himself, is that he did those things absolutely, and he's apologized for those things, but I also think it's important to look at the global, look at him globally in the sense of what he did in since 2015 to now.
Right.
He recognized the UN decade for folks, people of African descent.
Took him a while. He didn't do it right away. He's a little slow.
He was the first leader of any country to recognize the decade. That's one thing to note.
Okay.
He has, in two subsequent budgets, 2018 and 2019, named Black people specifically, giving funding for mental health for youth, giving funding for Black organizations, and also put funding more broadly into an anti-racism strategy. And in this platform has committed to doubling the funding for the anti-racism strategy, as well as to enhance funding to communities who are working on tackling racism. So I think it's one of those things to say that, it happened. It's something that came up, and it's jarring for sure to have seen that image.
But it sounds like you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. It sounds like you didn't just make a decision about Justin Trudeau based on those few images of him years ago. You went and analyzed his behavior and his actions, not just his words.
Yeah. His
And
actions too, right? In
Yeah.
terms of his relationship with racialized communities and specifically the Black community.
Okay.
And I've seen leadership there.
Good. Blackface, did it mean
I'm-
anything to you? What happened?
To me, as an actress, as I'm going to look at it now, at a point of view to make people laugh.
We're
Listen,
wrapping up with blackface.
We're wrapping up with blackface. Listen, the
Right.
man went to a party.
Okay.
It's a
We
costume
went to
party.
a couple parties,
Yes,
by the
he
way.
went to a costume party,
I would
right?
say tread lightly on this one,
And
for sure.
he was playing a character.
Okay.
If he had his own white face with that turban, he would get a backlash. The same way.
Okay.
Look at it. They would say, well, he's racist. He doesn't want to commingle. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He does it. He did it innocently. He just wanted to be a part of the story. It was a storytelling time, and he
Okay.
dressed up in a costume, and he went out and he told his story.
Okay.
Okay. If
Okay.
you go to a Halloween party and you put on a black face, are they going to
Still
say
wrong.
you're racist?
Still wrong. I
No,
will say.
no, no,
That's where I'm going to
yes,
draw
she's
the
a
line.
different-
I will
but
draw
this
the
is-
line.
that's the whole
But-
thing.
but
That
this
is
is
still
what
wrong.
I'm
From
I
a
know.
different
I'm looking
generation.
at it from a different
but
generation.
her
different
generation,
perspective.
they are diehards
Yes.
with this same argument that she has.
It's-
This is the argument
It's
that
a
her
question.
generation.
What are they accusing him of? Being too black? Being a coconut?
There-
What is their I understand Yannick's argument. I understand where Yannick is coming from. But from my perspective, give the man a break. Give the man a break. He's just having fun. He's enjoying himself.
Well, you know
I
what?
think-
There's a lot of people, including some very high-profile conservative commentators, that
Yeah.
would take you down in a minute for
I
that
know.
statement.
Absolutely.
Because they will
Absolutely.
argue the double standards. They will argue that you can't have it both ways. You can't, and they are. It's true. You can't have it both ways.
But then
You can't-
everybody is entitled to their own opinion. This is my
That's fair.
opinion, and
Okay.
I'm not saying that Canada should embrace my opinion.
That's
but
yours.
this is how
It's
I
yours.
see it. And
Okay, fair enough. Well, here's how I see it. Everybody knows how I got caught up in blackface and GD Cam when we were wrapping up. And, here's the way I see it. I'm going to have to say Judy Skrull was right. Okay? I'm going to go on the air now and say she was right. The woman came here, she made a statement, which she didn't do it as articulately as everyone would have liked her to do it, but her sentiments were we understood what the sentiment she was trying to get across. And she was basically trying to say that in her door-to-door knocking and her campaigning, she's getting the very distinct feeling that the black community is even more supportive now. Not necessarily because he donned blackface, it's because of the attacks that people were making against Justin Trudeau wearing the blackface, and they wanted to come to his aid.
Yes.
So that's really what
that's
probably
my
what she
perspective.
wanted, and that's what I found that they
Yes.
did. They wanted to come to his aid. It wasn't necessarily because of the way that she had phrased it. And guess what? The woman won the Humber River Black Creek riding here with over 60%. Unbelievable, 60%. So clearly she did learn something when she was at the door.
Sometime we need to lighten up.
I guess so. Maybe we do. I don't know. But I love the different perspectives.
Yes.
The conversation was good. And we just want to thank you for chiming in and listening in to our conversation today on the Ordinary People Show. We had a blast. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I'm sure we'll invite them back again. We didn't even get to delve into the campaign that you were spearheading that you ended up winning. Tell us about that very, very quickly before we sign off.
Worked on the campaign in Whitby for the Liberal candidate Ryan Turnbull, who's great, and I'm really excited. He's a first-time MP, so
Congratulations
I'm super excited to
to
see
you.
what he'll do.
Fantastic.
And she was also a first-time campaign manager.
Yeah, congratulations to you. And that was the writing that who'd you take out of that writing? The liberal candidate for that was Selena Chavez, was it?
Yeah.
So she went independent, did she? Or did
No,
she just
she didn't
resign?
run again.
She did also.
Oh,
she went independent, but she didn't run this time.
Oh, I see which one. So anyways, congratulations to you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Ordinary People Show special edition today as we wrapped up the federal elections 2019. Whew, that's over and done with. Now we're on to other topics of interest that concern you. We'll be back same time, same place next week at 12:30 to 1:30 with another awesome show and some more awesome guests that are doing extraordinary things. Once again, thank you for tuning in today. Cheers. We'll see you next week.